This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi Glatstein, Parshas Toldos. We have something very interesting on the Parsha, and then at the end we're going to have something, we'll cover the Shalom Zachar, but not what we're going to say tonight. Very interesting Chidushim. Okay, so Parshas Toldos, we have the birth of Yaakov and Esav. The Pasuk says, Vayetzei Harishayin Ad Moini. The first one came out red, Kuloi Ka'adera Seyar, entirely like a cloak of hair. Vayikru Shema Esav. They called him Esav. V'yachrechen Yatza Achiv. And afterwards, his brother came out. V'yadoi Oichezes Va'akev Esav. His hand was grabbing onto the heel of Esav. Vayikru Shema Yaakov. He called him Yaakov. V'yitzchak ben Shishim Shana B'layla Soysam. Yitzchak was 60. Now, one difference we see is that by Esav, Vayikru, everybody called him Esav. Yaakov, it says Vayikra. So Rashi explains, everyone called Esav Esav because of the way he looked. Yaakov, specifically, either Yitzchak or the Rebbeinu Shalom called him Yaakov. But we want to understand is, yes, Yaakov was grabbing onto the heels of Esav. Why Dafka was he grabbing onto the heels? Conceptually, philosophically, why was he Dafka grabbing onto the heels of Esav? How do we understand that? There's an amazing idea from the Moshav Zakenim. Moshav Zakenim was one of the Balei HaTosfos. He says we know that Esav is represented by which animal? The chazer, the pig. Right? Like the Pasuk says, Yichar Semena Chazir Miyar. Esav is like the pig. The pig is a treif animal. Yaakov would never touch Esav. There's only one part of the pig that has a redeeming feature. It has split hooves. That's the Siman Kashrus. So Yaakov says, if I'm going to touch the chazer, the only thing I could touch are the hooves. Right? The chazer frisalach. That's the idea that Yaakov grabbed onto the heels of Esav. Those are the chazer frisalach. Says the Moshav Zakenim, V'yada yoichezes ba'akev, tema, lama ba'akev yosem misharivarm. Why dafka the heel? V'teretz haram, v'bnei she'esav nikra chazir, shenemar, yichar simena chazir miyar. Ve'ein simin tara b'chazir rak ba'akev. And the pig has no simin tara other than the heel. By the way, you could look, we're not the Shiur, this is a Shiur in and of itself. The Yismach Moshe writes that by Yaakov Avinu, I just asked everyone to turn off their phones, but Yaakov Avinu grabbing onto the heels of Esav, that created that the pig should have split hooves. In other words, the other way around. The fact that Yismach Moshe writes that the fact that Yaakov grabbed the heel, that caused Esav to have at least one redeeming feature. Now, how do we understand Rabbi Glatstein? Why Yaakov was doing this? Why did he have to hold anything? Let Esav come out, and then let him come out. Why is he holding on to the heel?
Because he knew about the Bechira.
An amazing thing. The Moshav Zakenim says he had Rachmanis on his mother. Every time you give birth, every time the womb opens to let out the Vlad, it hurts. You have to push again. It's very painful. So Yaakov says, I don't want to trouble my mother.
Right.
Once she's open one time, let me come out now. I don't want to be mitzvah her extra. That's what the Moshe Zakenim writes. The Tema, Matzarch Lemrazeh. Why does the Torah have to tell you that Yaakov was grabbing onto his heel? Who cares? Elamagid Chasidusoi Shel Yaakov. We see from here the saintliness, the piety of Yaakov. Shafilu bevetem hayamerachem alimoi. Even in his womb, even in her womb, he had Rachmanis on her mother. Omar, ho v'nichtach hakever. He said, once the womb is open, tov she'echos ba'akeva k'dei shenetzo shenenu b'yachad vol tetztar imi paman. I don't want to trouble my mother 2 times. So it's very interesting. If I were to ask you, what makes somebody a chassid? How do you become a chassid? You white socks, a long beard? No. What's a chassid? Someone who doesn't want to cause pain to their mother. That's a chassid. That's it. Now, let's get a little deeper over here. Why is Yaakov called Yaakov? Presumably because he was holding on to the heel of Esav. The question is, how do you write heel? How do you spell heel? Ayin, Kuf, Beis, Akev. So let's call him Akev. Where did the Yud come from? Where did the Yud come from? It's brought down over here. Many people ask this question. From the Shvilei Pinchas, the Chelek Ma'amorim. He writes, if he's called Yaakov, because he was grabbing onto the hill of Esav, Ekev. Maduam ken hoysef le'akash baruch hu ois yud b'shem Yaakov. Why did he add the yud? We can ask the other way around. Why was Esav called Esav? Look at Rashi. Vayikru shema Esav hakol karu laken. Everyone called Esav Esav. Why? Lefi shahaya nasa. Because he was made v'nigmar b'sarai and completed with his hair. How would you say in Hebrew, in Lashon HaKodesh, someone who is made? Made, completely completed. The Rashbam writes, Shemai Esav, Adam, Asoy, Ayin, Sin, Vav, Yud. So what's going on? Why is Esav, why is he called Esav? He should be called Asoy. He should be called Ayin, Sin, Vav, Yud. Why is he called Esav? In other words, Yaakov should be called Akev, and Esav should be called Asoy. So I have an amazing comment from the Megala Amukos in 3 different places. Megala Amukos writes in this week's Parsha, Parshas Toldos, Divrei Hamaschal Vayi. Megala Amukos writes in Parshas Vayishlach, and he explains it at length in Parshas B'chukaisa. And he says the following: you know what it means that Yaakov was holding on to the heels of Esav? You know what Esav, his name was going to be? Ayin, Sin, Vav, Yud. And you know what Yaakov's name was going to be? Ayin, Kuf, Beis. But Yaakov, the Ayin, Kuf, Beis, sees the Ayin, Sin, Vav, Yud coming out of the mother. So he grabs onto the heel. What's the heel? The last ois of Esav, which is the Yud, which would be Asoy. He grabs onto the heel, the Yud, and he attaches it to his name, and the Akev becomes Yaakov. You hear such a thing? That's what the Megal Mukas writes. His name was Asoy. Why? Because he was fully complete, he was fully made. Yaakov's name should have been Akev. However...
So why didn't you go on to the end of Yaakov?
Okay.
That's where it would have been. Kobe.
Okay, good question.
That's why you call him Kobe.
We're going to deal with that. No, you can't use that name. We're going to see. It's very important. You have to... The Yud has to be in the beginning. The Megal Mukas writes, Shah B'chayra Shalakach Yaakov min Esav. What does it mean Yaakov took the Bechar from Esav? He Yud Shalai. He took the letter Yud. Shahaisa Tkua Ba'akevai. The Yud was stuck to Esav's heel. Shahaya Nikra Asoy. His name was Asoy, like the Rashbam says. V'nigmar. V'Yaakov Hoyaroi Likarei Rak Akev. Right? Anyone Yaakov over here? Me too. Daniel Yaakov, right? So imagine Akev. That wouldn't have been such a nice name, right? Rabbi Yankel. That wouldn't have been good, right? If your name was Akev, you wouldn't have been happy with that.
Also,
call me anything you want, just don't call me late for my meals.
Okay.
Asui is Lashon Avar.
Yeah.
Right? He was made. Yaakov is Lashon Asid. He will, right?
Yeah.
So it tells you that everything Esav did is in the past. Whatever Yaakov is going to do is for the future.
Very good. Very good. Very good. But Yaakov Avinu took the letter Yud. Rak al shem sheyadai oichezes ba'akev Esav. Shehi hayud. Shahaisa b'shmai levasoif salisa akev. The Yud that was hanging on to the bottom of the foot of Esav. Lakach Yaakov took v'yasa atara l'roisha, and he made it his crown. So let's think about that. What Esav put on the bottom of his foot, Yaakov put as a crown on his head. The Yud, which was the end of Esav, became the head of Yaakov Avinu. Vayikra shma Yaakov b'Yud mitchila ois mishma yisbarach ve'etzel Esav have a besoif. Okay. Says Megala Amukos. Look at the last 2 lines. He says, Biram Akar Sharshuhu Ba'ara Shavak Al Ois Vav Sheyakov Yital Havav. Says Megala Amukos. Yaakov wanted, he was after another letter also. Yaakov wasn't just happy with the Yud. He wanted the Vav. Yaakov was after the Vav. But he didn't take it. He left the Vav in Esav. But we'll see, why would he want the Vav? Why did he want the Yud also? What do you need the Yud for? What's it going to do for him? What does he need the Vav for? He wanted the Vav. La'asid lavai, Yaakov will take the Vav. And Esav will be what? Ush. Ayin Shin. Anybody know what an ush is? A bug. A moth. An ush is a moth. La'asid lavai.
Yaakov is spelled with a vav in the Torah.
Yeah, we'll see. Va'az nishar ash, like the pasuk says in Yeshaya, and we're going to see ash yoichaleim. You take a look at number 9. Hein adoshem elokim yazar li mihu yarshieni. Hein kulam kabeged yivlu. The goyim will wither like an old garment. Ash yoichaleim. They'll be eaten by the moths. So la'asid lavai, Esav will disintegrate. Why? Because we got the yud in the beginning, and la'asid lavai, we're going to get the vav also. And once we get the vav, Esav is going to turn into a moth. Very interesting. So Rabbi Yosef is pointing out, there are places in the Chumash that Yaakov is spelled Malay with a vav. How many times in Chumash, in Tanakh, is Yaakov spelled Malay with a vav? 5 times. Look in number 7. V'zacharti esbrisi Yaakov with the vav. V'af esbrisi Yitzchak, v'af esbrisi Abraham Eskar. Says Rashi, number 8. B'chamisha mekaymois nichtav malei. There are 5 places in the Torah Yaakov is spelled full. Ve'Eliyahu chasar, and Eliyahu is spelled missing. Eliyah. Hinei anochi shelech lachem es Eliyah hanavi. Why? Yaakov took the vav out of Eliyahu's name 5 times as a mashkon that Eliyahu would bring the geula. Right? B'chamisha mekaymois Yaakov natal es ois mishmoshe Eliyahu a rabbain sheyavai v'yivaser geula aspanav. So wait a second. Here Rashi's saying that Yaakov took the vav from Eliyahu, but at the Megala Amukos says Yaakov's going to take the vav from Esav. The answer is, when will the geula happen? When Esav has the downfall. When will Esav have the downfall? La'asad lavai. Who's going to bring the geula? Eliyahu. So Yaakov said, your job is to cause Esav to disintegrate. I will take your vav until you get rid of his vav. Okay? By the way, so what do we see from here? Yaakov, he was after the yud, he got the yud. He was after the vav, he didn't get it yet. But we see somehow the letter vav is very connected to Yaakov. Says the Arizal, amazing thing. Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Ve'elokei Yaakov. Why don't we say Elokei Avraham, Ve'elokei Yitzchak, Ve'elokei Yaakov? The answer is we don't have to say it any time. We could say Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov. Each one is an independent statement. The Vav by Yaakov shows that the letter Vav is connected to Yaakov. There's a connection between Yaakov and the letter Vav. The Arizal writes, look at number 10.
He gets it in between from Eliyahu Novi. Now Novi is going to have to collect it from Esav.
He's going to get it from Esav. Yeah. Eliyahu Novi is he's the guarantor.
Yeah.
He's in charge. Look at number 10. The Arizal writes, Ki mitam zeh moisifim mishman esrei ois vav davka etzel Yaakov Elokei Avram Elokei Yitzchak Elokei Yaakov Ki Yaakov hu bebechinas ois vav. Yaakov has a special connection to the letter vav. Okay, so we still have to explain, why does Yaakov care about the yud? Why by Esav is the yud at the end of his name? Why by Yaakov is at the beginning of his name? And why does Yaakov care about the ois vav? Megala Amukos in number 11 says the same thing in Parshas Vayishlach Ladaiti Lakach Yaakov Yud Shal Esav. Yaakov took Esav's yud Shahaya Nikra Asoi V'yada Echezak Et Esav Vayikra Shema Yaakov. Says Megala Amukos, an amazing thing.
Actually, HaKadosh Baruch Hu called him that. HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it.
But only because Yaakov was able to get the yud. Whatever that means, right? I want to point out something to you very interesting. This was bothering me for a long time, and I think I got it right. Look at number 13.
Maybe can I just point out something like this quickly doing that, right? The gematria of Yaakov is 182. The gematria of Esav is 376. If you take away 182, yeah. You take away the Vav from Esav and you give it to Yaakov. So Yaakov, Esav is double what Yaakov is.
If you take away the Vav
and you give the Vav to Yaakov, Yaakov is exactly half of Esav.
All right. Now you have something. Now you have to do something with it. Now you have to do something with that. Okay. You look in Parshas Toldos, Parak Chafei Pasuk Lamed Daled. Very interesting thing. I was always thinking about this. And I'll tell you a pshat I had in previous years. But Yaakov nasan li'esav lechem u'nezir adoshem.
Cholent.
He gave him some cholent. Vayoichal, vayesht, vayakam, vayelach, vayivez, esav esabachara. He ate, he drank, he got up, he left, he despised the bechara. I was always wondering, it's very uncommon, and I'm not aware of any other places, where you have the Vav Yud at the beginning of the word, 5 consecutive words in a row. Vayoichal, vayesht, vayakam, vayelach, vayivez. I mean, even the vayoichal, vayesh, vayakam, vayelach, vayivez. There's something over there. There's something doing over there. What's the inyan that you have 5 words in a row that begin with the letter Vav Yud?
You didn't quote the Pasuk with the learning time.
With the first one? Yeah.
You always usually when you
Yeah. I'm tired still. So, vayivez esav esabachara. Interesting. Says Megala Amukais, an amazing thing. Why did Yaakov want the letter Yud? Let's start with the letter Yud. It says, Vayisroitzutzu habanim bekirba. The kids were struggling, they were fighting, they were kicking, they were screaming. What were they fighting about? By the way, the Torah, Al-Atayr writes, you know what they're fighting about? They weren't fighting. They were struggling. You know why? Esav is hairy, Yaakov is smooth, Yaakov's itchy. He's itchy. He's getting pricked by Esav's hair. He's very uncomfortable. He's scratching himself. That's what the Torah writes.
Yeah, but Rashi says it because of a church.
That's the Pasha pshat. The Pasha pshat is Yaakov is itchy. That's at the Torah, not my pshat. The Torah writes he was itchy. Says Rashi, no. There was something deeper about it. Says Rashi number 14. Davar acher. Misroitzitzim zeh im zeh. They're fighting with each other. Umerivim benachla shnei oilamos. They were fighting. I want oilam hazeh. I want oilam haba. Esav says, I want oilam hazeh. I want oilam haba. Yaakov says, no, I want oilam hazeh. I want oilam haba. They were fighting. Which oilam did Yaakov want more than anything? Oilam haba. Says the Gemara in Menachos, Ki beka Hashem tzur oilamim.
I never understood that. Esav didn't want olam haba, he wanted olam hazeh. So what were they fighting about?
No, Esav wanted oilam haba. Why not?
And he wanted it all.
Why not? But Rabbi say it says we say every day in the Valasinu, Ki beka Hashem tzur oilamim. God created the world beka with the yud and with the hey. He created oilam hazeh with the letter hey. Why with the letter hey? Because in this world you could fall out very easily. Right? It's very easy to fall out. But you could always come back in through the opening on the top. So this world, Olam Hazeh is created with the Hey. Olam Haba is created with the Ois Yud. With the Ois Yud. So which Olam does Yaakov want more than anything?
Yud.
Which world does Yaakov want? Olam Haba. He wants the Yud. The Olam Haba is created with the Yud. So what does Yaakov Avinu do? He sees Esav's name, Ayin, Sin, Vav, Yud. He chaps the Yud, and he appendages it to his name. He grabs it. He chaps it.
Where do you see that Olam Haba is created?
It's a Gemara Menachos and Daf Chav Tes Amud Beis. The Gemara says, Ki beka Hashem tzur olamim. We know Eilet Toldos Shamayim V'aretz Behi Baram. The Gemara dashins Behi Baram. God created Olam Hazeh with the letter Hey. By the way, the letter Hey is a very special letter. You know that. The Arizal writes that the letter Hey is what gives bracha for children. So for example, Sarai, her name was Sarai, she didn't have children. So Hashem gave her the letter Hey, Sarah. Rivka had the letter Hey. Leah had the letter Hey. Rachel didn't have the letter Hey. So Rachel said, take Bilhah. Maybe I'll get from Bilhah. Why? Because Bilhah has 2 Hays. So I'll use her second Hay for me.
Well, was Rivka and Korah first too?
That could have been. That could have been for other reasons, for side reasons. But the Hay, she had no shortages of Hay. The Rabbi says, Hey lecha zara. That's the remes. Hey lecha zara. But in any event, Yaakov Avinu and Esau were fighting over the Shnei Oilamos, Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba. Olam Haba is created with the Yud. Olam Hazeh is created with the Hey. More than anything else, Yaakov Avinu wants the letter Yud. Wants the letter Yud. So now we understand that what Esav was trampling on with his foot, Yaakov makes a crown for his head. That's the difference between a Jew and a guy. A guy thinks of Olam Haba last. He lives how he wants to live. The last consideration in his mind is the Yud, the Olam Haba. He does what he wants to do. Oh, now let me see what's going to be with Olam Haba. By a Jew, everything he lives with, everything he does, every decision he makes is Yaakov. He begins with the Yud. How will this affect Olam Haba? How do I act? What do I do? Where do I go? The first thing we look at is the Yud. By Esav, it ends with the Yud. He steps on it. By Yaakov, that's his crown. That's the meaning of why Esav ends with the Yud and Yaakov begins with the Yud. Okay. But we still have not explained, what's the letter Vav? What's the letter Vav? So Yaakov chapped the Yud. When did he chap it? Immediately when they were born. But what about the letter Vav? What is the letter Vav? Says the Megala Amukais. A wonderful thing.
Which number is it?
2.
Number 12. Says the Megala Amukais. Take a look on the second sheet. Says Megala Amukais.
Number what?
Oh.
Next page.
The letter Vav represents the brachos. The brachos. On the back. The letter Vav represents the brachos. Birchas Kayanim, for example. How many brachos in Birchas Kayanim? 3, right? 3. But you could break it down further. Each bracha has 2. Yivarechacha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Yo'er Hashem panav eilecha v'yichoneka. Yisa Hashem panav eilecha v'yasim l'chasham. There's 6 brachas. When it comes to the world of bracha, we're not talking about Olam Hazeh. Olam Hazeh, Esav got. Esav has Olam Hazeh. But Yaakov wanted the special brachos. The brachos, that if you have these brachos in Olam Hazeh, you could live in Olam Hazeh to be able to achieve Olam Haba. That is represented, says Megam Lukas, by the Ois Vav. The Ois Vav are the brachos of Yitzchak. The brachos of Avraham. The special brachos Hashem gives a person to be able to achieve in this world to gain Olam Haba. That's the letter Vav. Yivarecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Yor Hashem panav eilecha v'yichoneka Yisa Hashem. So Yaakov starts off his career. He says, I ain't coming into this world if I don't have Olam Haba. Otherwise, there's no point in being born. The whole why is it Hashem create us? Hashem created us to get Olam Haba. That's the whole purpose of creation. Otherwise, we'd be better off never being created. Tov lo shalai nivra.
Ein brera.
Ein brera. But why did the Rebbe Hashem create us? Ha'adam lo nivra ela lehisaneg al Hashem v'leihanois miziv shchinasai shezehu ha'tainu ko'amiti v'ha'idun ha'gadol mikol ha'yidunim she'icholim lehimatzei. Where does it say that? The opening words of Mesilas Yesharim. Every Jew has to know by heart, right? Ha'adam lo nivra ela lehisaneg al Hashem. That's what could point to creation. Olam Haba. So Yaakov said, I'm not being born until I get the Yud. If I don't have the Yud, I ain't coming out. So Yaakov gets the Yud. But now he comes out to the world. He says, you know what, Hashem? I don't need Gashmias, but I need special bracha to achieve in this world. I need the Vav. Hashem says, the Vav, a little bit, not completely. Not completely. You know when you'll get it completely? La'asid lavai. La'asid lavai, Esav remove his Vav. He'll become a moth, he'll become a bug, he'll be a bed bug. They'll blast him with the heat, with the ice, and all the other chemicals, right? But, the Vav you don't get completely now. Right now, Esav is not a full bug. He's just, shrutzim or ramusim, but not a moth.
But you need the wolf to achieve Olam Haba.
You need, so abyssal Vav Yaakov has. That's why 5 times in Tanakh, Yaakov takes the Ois Vav. 5 times. And he says, Elio, I want you to be my guarantor. You're going to get it forever. But right now, Yaakov only has it a little bit. 5 times.
When Yaakov gets the Vav, Elio is going to have it taken away, and it's just going to be...
No, it could be... Elio always has a Vav. Yaakov just took away... No, Yaakov took 5 of his Vavs. Now listen to this. Yaakov got the Yud at birth. When did he get the Vav? When he gave Esav the cholent in exchange for the brachas. How many Yuds and how many Vavs did he get? 5. Vayoichal, Vayesht, Vayokom, Vayelach, Vayivez. Esav as a b'chayra.
Didn't need the yud now.
The yud was now accompanied by the vav. Okay? I was very happy yesterday I thought of this. First of all, that my mind was still working a little bit yesterday. And Baruch Shekivanti Megala Mukoi says it. Namish. Megala Mukoi says it. Megala Mukoi says, at the very end, I almost didn't have put it on the sheet. I almost just said it. He says it. You see, it was split off over here. But Baruch Hashem, I added a little one. Ki Vayakveni ze pa'amayim. Let's see if I can find it.
But you still may serve. They're right at the end.
Less Shiur.
Oh, no. Look at number 12 on the bottom, he says over here. V'zesar b'chosh shalak al Yaakov olam haba nivra b'yud. V'yetzel Esav, Isa, Vayoichal, Vayesht, Vayokom, Vayelach, Vayivez, Hey, Pamim, Vav, Yud. 5 times the Vav, Yud. Mamish, a beautiful pshat. By the way, the Zera Kodesh writes from Rabshitz that in Kiddush Friday night you have 5 times Vav, Yud. Vayichulu Hashmam Ratz B'chol Tzva'am. Vayichal Elokim Yimashvim L'achter Shasa. Vayishbo Yisrael Kol L'achter Shasa. Vayivarach Elokim Yisrael Shayikadesh Shasa. Vayikadesh Shasa. 5 times, right? All right, very good. Right?
Very good.
5 times Vav Yud. Why? Because Shabbos is Me'ein Olam Haba. So Shabbos is reminiscent of the time that we're going to be able to get back not only the Yud, but the Vav also, and take it for ourselves. Okay? So this is a beautiful pshat from the Megala Mukos. Right. Yud, Yaakov gets at birth. Vav, he gets when he takes the Bechorah, and Esav forgoes it. Vayoichal, Vayesht, Vayakam, Vayelach. Okay? Amazing thing. Another pshat, perhaps you could say, that this thought of in the past, why you have the 5 Vavs in a row in Parshas Toldos. Again, maybe if you could find elsewhere, but as far as I know, this is a very rare instance, 5 Vavs in a row. Chassam Sofer has a very interesting question. How did Yaakov Avinu buy the Bechorah? With what item? Cash? Credit card? Check? Traveler's check? American Express? Discover? What did he use? Cholent. The best currency. Oiver Laseicher, right? The best currency. One simple question Chassam Sofer asks. Who did the cholent belong to? Yaakov's a kid.
His mother.
He's Saimech al Shulchan Aruch. Do you own the food that your parents give you to eat? No? It's not yours. You don't own it. Could you use the food your parents give you in exchange to buy something? No, you know what it's called? Yeah, he's still Saimech al Shulchan Aruch. You know what that's called? It's called Geneva. The parents give it to you to eat. You can't trade your lunch. Can't trade your lunch. So ask Chassam Sofer, how was the sale effective? The cholent didn't belong to Yaakov. Says Chassam Sofer, Mamish Hafla V'fela. This was the only time in Yaakov's life he owned his food.
He did what?
He owned his food. Why? Because what was he cooking for Yitzchak? Sudas Havra. Right? Rashi says number 19. He was cooking because Avram Avinu just passed away.
So I couldn't own it because you can't eat your own food by the
Sudas Havra, very good, can come from the Avol's possessions. It has to come Mishel Acherem. So where did Yitzchak get it? Where did Yaakov get it from? Yitzchak gave it to him al manas that he should be koinet, and Yitzchak should have no chelak in it. Otherwise, it's not a Sudas Havra. Says Chassam Sofer, look at the Hashgacha Pratis. Only one time in the life of Yaakov did he ever own food, or own anything. And Pinklach, that minute, who comes by? Esav comes by. Yaakov said, unbelievable! This is the only time in my life I ever owned something. I'm trading you this for the Bechorah. So what is this called? Hashgacha Pratis. The only time Yaakov Avinu is Saimach HaShulchan Aruch until he's, 63 years old. This is the only time in his life he ever owned anything. And Pinklach, Esav comes along at that moment. Tremendous Hashgacha Pratis. Look at number 18. Says Chassam Sofer, Halitenina, Ayin Pirish Rashi, Shahaya Zeh Sudas Havra. This was a Sudas Havra. Avor Misas Avraham. from the death of Avram, shemeis boy b'yom, that he died that day. V'yesh l'faresh ha'yazem min hashamayim. Says the Chassam Sofer, you could explain that this was mamish min hashamayim sharei liYaakov lo hayu sham nechasim az. Yaakov didn't own anything. V'yasomach al shulchan aviv. V'les leimi garma klum, he had nothing of his own. V'yochel liknois avachara. Miu sudas havrat sarach liyos mishel acherim. V'yal karchach hikne yitzchak liYaakov es ha'adoshim. V'yal yidei zeh ha'ye'efshel liYaakov liknois mishel Esav. So amazing thing, right? We never thought of that. Rabbi Glatstein, we said that this is a rare instance, 5 vavs in a row. I should tell you something even more rare. 15 vavs in a row. V'yatziv, v'nachayin, v'kayam, v'yashar, v'neman, v'yav, v'chaver, v'nechman, v'noam, v'ner, v'adrim, v'sukan, v'kubal, v'toiv, v'yafeh. 15 vavs in a row. Is that a coincidence? Of course not. Says the Shulchan Aruch that you need, when you say Shema, you need to say how many words? 248. But there are only 245. Hashem Elokeichem Emes. So the Sfardim, when the Siyar Sibur says Hashem Elokeichem Emes, they repeat Hashem Elokeichem Emes. But Hashem has Shemei HaKoinah. What if you're davening at home?
Then it's Kem Melech Neman.
Yeah. Well, but that's okay. Says the Shulchan Aruch. What if you're davening at home?
You say Kamal Never.
Says the Shulchan Aruch. No. When you say V'yatziv v'nachayin, the Shulchan Aruch. How many vavs in V'yatziv v'nachayin? 15. Vav is the gematria what?
6.
What's 6 times 15? 90. Have in mind that the 15 vavs is 90. You know what 90 is? 3 times Yud K Vav K.
No. 3 times 26, 7.
But 3 times Yud K Vav K is what? 82.
88.
No.
3 times 26 is 88.
78. 78. The answer is Hashem's name Yud K Vav K is sometimes 26, but sometimes could be 30 if you count the 4 letters. That's what Shulchan Aruch says.
26 plus the 4 letters.
26 plus 8. So when you say the 15 vavs, you have in mind 15 vavs is 90. That's 3 times Yud K Vav K. Each Yud K Vav K, the first one is 246, the second one is 247, the third one is 248. In other words, how do you get the 3 missing words? 15 vavs is 90. 90 is 3 times Yud K Vav K. That's what the Shulchan Aruch writes. I didn't make this up. Shulchan Aruch. So what do we see from here? That 5 vavs is
30.
Yud K Vav K. Right? So perhaps the remez over here is, how did Yaakov buy the Bechorah from Esav? It's so unlikely. He didn't own anything. It was impossible. In his entire life, Yaakov Avinu didn't own anything until he was in El Tabachar, when he went to Lavan's house. He was Samech HaShem. The answer is Hashgacha Pratis. Hashem had it. That Pinklach at this time, Avram passed away, and Yitzchak told Yaakov, here are the beans, they're not mine anymore, they're yours. So in order for this to happen, you needed Yud Kei Vav Kei, you needed the Shem Hashem. So that's why the pasuk says, Vayoichal, Vayesht, Vayokam, Vayelach, Vayives. You have 5 vavs, Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's showing you the special Hashgacha Pratis, that the Rebbeinu Shalom orchestrated events, that Esav should come along at this time when Yaakov had the beans, and everything ended happily ever after. Rabbi Glatstein, good Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.